Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to dive into some key differences between shyness and social anxiety so that you have more information and get to know yourself better. Personally, for me, for years I thought I was just being shy until one time I brought this topic up to my therapist and I traced back to my earliest memory of my childhood, and I realized I wasn't even a shy person when I was a kid. I was very active, I was pretty naughty, I just said whatever I wanted to say. But like I think after when I got into puberty, something started to change, and it was because of some painful or traumatic experience that caused me to have some false beliefs about social occasions. So the number one key difference is that those two things differ by nature. Shyness is a personality trait. So people who are shy, they actually tend to avoid social occasions. They tend to avoid being the center of the public. But they do not have this overwhelming or high intensity of fear, of distress that they experience under social occasions. They show this kind of consistent pattern in every aspect of their life. It's relatively consistent. But people who have social anxiety, when presented under social occasions, they tend to experience this high intensity of negative emotions and sensations. It's very likely that those people are not even shy in their everyday life. A lot of them are actually extroverted, but when pushed under social occasions, like as small as casual talk to meeting new people or deliver a presentation in public, can give them out of proportion anxiety or even physical reactions like muscle tension and heart racing and other symptoms, because they have this irrational fear of being judged, being criticized, and being commented negatively upon their personality or as a person as a whole. One criteria for diagnosis is that social anxiety actually greatly impair one's normal life functioning and restrict their life circle. To help you understand it better, I will use my personal examples to show you how I found out that I actually had social anxiety instead of just being a shy person in general. So for the longest time, as far as I remember, throughout teenage years through adulthood, I had always been labeled as antisocial. For example, in college, I had only been to 1 or 2 parties, and I was dragged by my friends to go. And I remember at the party when they were playing games, my focus would not be on the game. I wouldn't be as engaging as I thought I would, because I would be noticing people's face. I would be noticing if people are looking at me, if they are thinking something, if they're judging the way I dress, the way I look, or my facial expressions. So both times I ended up locking myself in the bathroom for some time when a lot of guys got drunk, and my friend had to look for me. But when they asked me if I was okay, I would just pretend that everything is okay. Like I didn't want to be seen by them as being anxious, hanging around people, and I didn't want to be recognized as a weirdo. For example, if I have to go to those carnival activities in school, I only wanted to hang out with one of my best friend. I don't want anyone else to join the group, because I feel like my friend would give them all his or her attention instead of taking care of my needs, because I would become quite anxious and vigilant at that time, and I needed emotional attention from my best friend. If we happen to meet someone, like some new people, like they invite us to their group or hang out with them, I would show this cold bitch face to my friend to hint that I don't want to join them, I don't want to be included in other people's group. Basically, I think the motivation behind this is that I was constantly on guard, and I was worried that what other people would think. Would they not like me? Would they think that I'm fat? Would they think that I don't look as good as their friends? And I have all those negative thoughts because I feel like everything was evolving around me. I felt I was just put under the spotlight and in a very dangerous position. And when I go home on vacations, because inevitably they're gonna be acquaintances of family, they would come and visit us. I would hide out in my room because they haven't seen me for so long, and they're gonna throw out some commentary words like, whoa, look how much you've grown, look how much you've changed, and all that. Even just a casual comment, I would just distort and suspect the meanings and motivations behind their words. And I would think that, well, does that mean that you think I'm fat? Does that mean that you think I have become uglier since last time you saw me? So during my therapy sessions, I was able to recall a lot of memories I thought I forgot, but they were actually buried very deep down in my subconscious mind. I remember that I was actually very naughty. I was very active, and during birthdays, my mom would buy the biggest cake for the whole class to eat, and I would have fun with them. And I would also like play instrument in front of hundreds of kids and parents. At the same time, I always invite friends, like all sorts of friends, to my play dates, because I was basically felt very safe under social occasions, and I was safe when I was around people because I don't believe that they would hurt me. It was after the traumatic event at 7, when I experienced abandonment and later abusive behaviors of my father, I started to develop this distrust and hostility towards people because I basically don't believe that they have anything good to say about me. I am only suffering from those things, of those traumatic things, because at core, I'm a bad person. That's the time I started to notice that I was not even a shy person. I just have this irrational belief towards myself, towards people. And if you have the same concern, maybe just try to trace back to your childhood, to remember, like to recall the happiest time of your life when you're having fun with friends or family members. See if you feel safe meeting new people, and see how that differ from what you think now, how you behave now. And that might give you the best answer to if you are actually anxious or just a shy person in general. The second difference is the degree of anxiety and fear. According to American Psychiatric Association's Manual of Mental Disorders, for social anxiety, the fear, anxiety, and avoidance have to last for about 6 months or more, which causes impairment in important areas of functioning. The symptoms are mainly from 3 areas. The first one is emotionally. Of course, I've mentioned you might experience this out of proportion nervousness and anxiety, or like fear because you're worried that you're put under the spotlight and you are suffering from like social criticism or judgments. And behaviorally, you might try to avoid eye contact. You might try to run away from social occasions, and you might try to keep your head low and try to do social avoidance. At the same time, after the social events, you would try to maybe analyze and go over and review the social occasions and just try to find flaws or like anything you have behaved badly, just to try to poke the holes of every little details in your behaviors so that you can criticize yourself again and self-sabotage. And due to anxiety and fear, physically it shows up as like palm sweats, and you have a blush because you feel like super hot. And sometimes even I do this and my friends thought I had a fever or something, and I would have like muscle tension, like my body would be so rigid and I don't know where to put my hands, like it's just kind of awkwardly hanging there. Some of us even feel like their heart is like pounding so fast that they feel like they cannot breathe. This definitely creates damages for us to connect with people, because as human beings we are social animals and we seek out this genuine connection. But when we're afraid to be the real person that we are, it really kind of just creates barriers for genuine connections. Something I personally experienced is about dating life. For the longest time, I had been single because I put my life on hold. I didn't want to go out and meet people and suffer from potential judgments. And that's something that scares the shit out of me. There was one time there's this guy, we talked really well and we felt really close and we set a date. But that day, I remember like I texted my friends and my hands were like shaking. And I feel like I was short of breath and my heart racing, and I had this blush on my face. but gladly I had makeup on, so it's hard to see. But I just left the house in a hurry, and then I remembered, oh no, I forgot something. So I went back, and because my hand was shaking and I couldn't put the keys in the door, and it was such an embarrassing moment for me because I was so upset, and I talked to my friends like, well, I'm never going to be normal in dating life. For people who have had social anxiety, you know that it's such a vulnerable experience because you feel like your fate is on someone else's hands, because they get to decide if you're good enough, if you are adorable or lovable enough. If they say one negative comment about you, you feel like your life is doomed and you're never going to feel valuable by yourself. And that's something, I think that's the most horrible part about having social anxiety, because we have those catastrophic predictions about who we are, about life, and just becomes hopeless, you know. And the third difference is the degree of avoidance. With avoidance, it comes as heavy cost, which just impairs our normal life. For example, for shy people, like they don't really feel that uncomfortable to be in social occasions. They may avoid being the center, they may avoid talking or speaking in public, but they don't go extra miles, they don't push at great length to avoid social occasions. But for people who suffer from social anxiety, they know, like, they have irrational fears. They know it's unrealistic what they're thinking, but they will still like go miles to avoid those triggers that cause them overwhelming sense of distress. So I would like you to notice if you have displayed such behaviors, like you would fake illness to get out of a social occasion, like you would try, maybe just lock yourself in the bathroom, just find a corner to stay in because you feel more comfortable, or that you would dwell on awkward moments of yourself or the tiniest mistake that you've made in public and use that to self-sabotage. Or maybe you would like refuse to go on all sorts of activities without the one person that you know best, without the one person that you know wouldn't judge you. When I was at work in different kind of meetings, I was always sitting in the very last row or just in the corner to avoid being noticed. And whenever our leader poses a question or asks if anybody has any opinions to share, I always pretend that I don't have anything to say. I always try to lower my face to avoid eye contact so that I wouldn't be the one to be picked. And I would leave my coworkers to express whatever opinions they have, even though I have a million of ideas in my head. And sometimes a lot of them were proved right after the meeting, but I was just too scared. I'd rather them to think that I don't have any opinions. I'm not a very creative person, I'm not a very thoughtful person, or the one with critical thinking ability. Like, I don't really care if they label me as those things, and I'd rather compromise my career rather than exposing myself in all sorts of social occasions just so that I can feel less unsettling and more comfortable within my body. Those are the differences between people who are shy and people who have social anxiety. If you suspect that you have social anxiety, I would advise you to go and talk to a doctor and get a diagnosis, because the standards for diagnosis are quite complex. And I'm creating this video just to give you some general information and help you know and understand yourself better. Alright everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you wanted to see more videos like this, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time.